Cinesmack contains spoilers of the spoiling type. If you don't want your spoilers spoiled, please turn back now. Otherwise, enjoy the show!
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence?
Ladies and gentlemen! Welcome to the main event! This is Cinesmack! And the winner is...
Hello, Cinesmacketeers, and welcome to bout number 75 of the podcast about films by filmmakers. I am your host, Mike Keeler. Joining me tonight is our panel of award-winning judges. First, writer, actor, and producer, Tosh Dillinger.
Get out of the building. There's a bomb.
Second, filmmaker and owner of One Genome Short Productions, Gabriel Rowald.
In space, no one can hear you podcast.
Oh, that was
Thank God.
That's why everyone is moving to space right now.
Yes. Third, writer, actor, and director, Kyle Fine.
I ain't got time for a witty introduction.
Nice. Well done.
And yet he had one.
Fourth, filmmaker and owner of Cheshire Moon Films, Tom Haggis.
It turns out it was a tumor after all. Sorry, kindergarten cop.
Wait, are you saying Predator is like a Jacob's Ladder situation for the kindergarten cop? Where like this is his dying memory is being Dutch?
Yes.
I love it.
Oh my God.
Oh my,
That's
hilarious.
We need to
I
make
hadn't gone that deep, but yeah, I think that's
we
good.
need to make a fake
Nice.
trailer for that. Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, you kind of know what's going on, but let's poke the monkey and can make it official for us.
Ladies and gentlemen, Xenomorphs and Commandos, welcome to the main event! Tonight, two iconic sci-fi films will rumble in the jungle to find out who won't make it to the chopper and whose chest will burst with pride. In the first quarter, from 1987, written by Jim and John Thomas, directed by John McTiernan, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, and Jesse Ventura, Predator! In the second quarter, from 1979, written by Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett, directed by Ridley Scott, starring Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt, and John Hurt. Alien!
Okay, so Alien versus Predator. I have to say I didn't see Alien until like the late 90s. I was fine with just leaving it at Aliens. I saw part of Alien 3 and I was like, no thanks. So I saw Predator, what, early 90s maybe, when I was just watching as many movies as I could. But it took me a while to get to Alien because it's not necessarily my cup of tea. What about you guys?
You don't like tea?
I'm a big tea fan myself.
I like
iced
tea as well.
Iced tea is good.
This is the this is the first time I've actually watched Alien all the way through.
Really?
Yeah. In the past, I've seen bits and pieces of it, just never sat through the whole thing. And spoiler alert, I knew about the whole Ash thing before I watched it, the Android thing, so I knew that was coming. So that kind of ruined it for me. But I enjoyed the Alien a lot more than I did Predator, to be honest. But we'll talk about that more in a second.
Well, you just kind of gave away the ending, didn't you?
Yeah, I pretty much did. Pretty much did.
Well, see you next week, guys.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, where can we find you? On
Tosh, we like to do something called burying the lead. Okay, you
okay, right.
You gotta make people listen.
I'm taking all of that back. I like Predator better than I do Alien. or do I?
All right.
We're living in a post-truth world.
Am I first? What category are we starting with? I'm first, right?
Yeah.
Writing?
Yeah.
Writing.
Yeah.
Writing.
You're first. Let me ring the bell though first. Hold on.
Oh, all right. Writing. Man. Let's start Predator. Back when Predator Prey came out, it was well received. But going back now and watching it, and I'm gonna compare this to TV nowadays. TV right now is on fire, and the writing in TV is very good. I thought Predator was written like a very bad TV show.
Hold on.
I really did.
Hold on, real quick. Obviously, you've never watched Two Broke Girls.
I don't, because I know that looks like terrible as well. So I don't waste time on that. So Predator, oh man, writing was just bad and cliche. But you know what? During that period when that movie out, that was the in thing with movies, and Arnold Schwarzenegger capitalized that in all his movies, and it's bad. It is. Alien, it's not perfect writing wise, but I really enjoy the slow burn that happens in that movie, and then the writing, dialogue, all that. It's technical, and I enjoyed it. I don't know what you guys think, but Alien was far superior writing to me than the Predator.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
and I think that's evident in where the two franchises have gone since the first two movies. You know, in terms of just the concept of it, Alien was able to take it and roll into now 7 movies, right?
Not necessarily all good.
Not necessarily all good, but there was something more to build on, especially with Aliens, and then they're bringing it back around with Covenant and Prometheus. But Predator was like, where do we go from here? And to the city, and I'm like, what is this, Home Alone? Come on.
Well,
Home Alone versus Predator 2. Home Alone 2 versus Predator 2. There we go.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that Predator extended its life by associating itself with Alien. Because there's the whole Alien versus Predator thing going on out there, which I've never found any of those very compelling, personally. It's
I was
an
thinking
interesting
about
thought, but
what other movie franchises have gone on to cross-pollinate in that way? And we've never covered anything like that on the podcast before, have we? Where we feature two movies that 15 years in the future are going to be, all over each other. Interesting.
Freddy
because I don't remember
Freddy versus Jason.
There you go. Yeah, I don't remember watching the 310 to Yuma and Proposition crossover movie. I don't know what the audience is for that. Sad Australians, I think. I think both these movies have interesting concepts for what they want to be. Alien is obviously a little more intellectual, higher concept. But I don't think the writing in Predator is necessarily bad because it fits exactly what it knows it wants to be. Mm-hmm. We can talk more about it when we get to like the actual meat of the filmmaking. But from the beginning of the credits to the time they touch down the jungle, it's 11 minutes in Predator. So they're not fucking around. They're like, we're gonna give you an hour and 10 minutes in the jungle. They know exactly what they're getting to. They're telling you just enough to get you minorly interested and just drop enough plot along to get you from point A to B. Alien was a much more high concept. I love the idea of horror in outer space. I had never seen Alien. This is my first viewing of Alien. But I loved Event Horizon, which is not necessarily, they're not so similar, but it is sort of a terror in space kind of movie. I think it's a really interesting concept. I would say this is probably one of the earliest examples of that genre. And both these movies, I think, suffer from us looking back at them now, 40 years later. In Alien's case, 38 years old. And I had to kind of judge it with a less critical eye because everybody's just guessing what computers are going to be, and it's so wrong. But
Yes.
Yeah.
but that's one of my favorite things watching these old. Right, the computers would somehow get bigger and bigger, and not smaller and more personable and more user friendly. Like these giant computers, the least user friendly things I've ever seen in my life.
You have to go into a whole room for the
No
computer.
shit, yeah, and also
And then you're typing on some weird keyboard.
I know.
Just because you had to flip like 45 switches to restart it doesn't matter.
No shit. Oh man. Also, I think the exact opposite of Predator, where Predator is almost no fluff, Alien has quite a bit of fluff. It starts with like a 5-minute argument about shares for a mission, and then that pans out to be nothing. It goes nowhere. So it just, I think it's a bit fluffy in points, and Alien felt very long to me. And I know it's 2 hours. It felt really long to me.
I agree.
It is a slow burn. And there were times when I'm like, wow, they are really lingering on this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I felt that same way about some Quentin Tarantino movies where they're like really lingering on. In Alien, they were kind of lingering on the scenery a little bit. You know, they went through a lot of trouble to build these massive sets. Sure. And, you know, I felt like they were kind of lingering on that a little bit. But like Tosh said, there's something about the slow burn kind of suspenseful buildup of Alien that really, really works, in spite of the fact that you're like, this is taking a while, but that's the point. This thing isn't, you know, they flipped the script, so to speak, for Aliens and turned it into a total action movie. Like this shit is coming at you at light speed, you know. But for Alien, it's like this thing is out there, you don't know where it is, and you're just waiting for it to attack. And to a certain degree, that really, really builds the tension and the suspense.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. It on one hand, it may be considered a drawback. On the other hand, it's a strength of that movie to me.
Yeah, it's funny how they both use that different ways. I guess, I mean, that's kind of directing, but it's this again. I think the story helps push Alien along. And to the Tarantino thing, those lower moments, he fills it with, you know, great dialogue and pop culture stuff, and kind of gives you something to entertain you. So while they're lingering, whereas Predator, I'm just like, oh my god, if I got to see one more boot in the mud, I am gonna fucking die. I get it. It's rough.
Yeah, one of the things I thought they did fairly well with Alien, they didn't really flesh out the characters very deeply, but they gave you good glimpses of different characters. You know, you had the guys that were talking about the shares, and you got an idea of not only their personal characters, but kind of their class on the ship. You know, where they stood in the hierarchy of things on the ship, just through those kinds of interactions. And then you had Ripley, who you realize is the very kind of strict, by the rules kind of character, and you know, the android, who, you know, at first we don't know is an android, but later on we find out, and that it's, you know, it's like not following the rules, at least not human rules. And so we get all of these different glimpses into different types of characters. And that's one thing I kind of liked. I think we get that a little bit in Predator too, actually. But it's all different types of macho in Predator. Like what kind of macho are you in Predator?
Well, there are all these kind of tangential stories in Predator. They tease about the first team that goes in, about what she says the women in her village say about this thing hunting during the hottest seasons. But you're not really interested to see where any of them go, right? They're kind of set pieces. The main meat of the story is, let's watch these guys blow the shit out of this jungle. In Alien, it felt like part of a much bigger world. You know, they're talking about the shares at the beginning, and that's something that kind of bothered me because it never went anywhere, but it does feel like it's part of a bigger world. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's easy now to think about because we saw these things spiral out into huge franchises. And things like the Wayland Corporation and androids and all these things became important parts of the Alien universe. But watching it as its own little contained movie, it felt a bit fluffy in places.
All right. Does anyone have anything to add for writing?
I thought the lines that Schwarzenegger says that, I mean, it was kind of his like trademark thing, but for fuck's sake, there was a point when that was funny, like entertaining. I watched it and all I could think of was Rainier Wolfcastle from The Simpsons. And it was it just made me laugh, where it was just like, this guy, it's not even, I don't know. It was.
I love him. It's entertainment for me. Like,
Yeah.
it's gold. It's gold.
You see shades of Mr. Freeze, don't you? With stick around and knock knock.
Yeah.
But my favorite quotable line is actually said by Jesse Ventura when he offers the chewing tobacco, and he says it makes you a sexual Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah.
Just like me. That made me fucking laugh out loud.
I thought you were gonna say, "I ain't got time to bleed."
I ain't got time to bleed. That's
that
fine.
is a great line.
Yeah.
That's a
You
great
can
line.
use that
But when
one every day.
this thing will make you a goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus. That killed me. And the jokes that Shane Black tells,
Yes.
they're his jokes.
Yeah,
like he
they
came
are.
up with them before the screening. And I can't think of another movie where such a successful writer plays such a bit part like that, like out of nowhere. That was really interesting to me.
All right.
This is probably an acting, but has Arnold ever has he acted in a movie where, like, man, he really nailed that? Besides Terminator 2, maybe. Other than that, have you ever thought, like, man, he was really good acting in that?
True Lies. I love True Lies.
I don't know.
That's
I
my
don't
favorite
know.
Schwarzenegger movie.
I don't. Tom Arnold, I think, carried that movie, to be honest. But that's just
It was
That's
both,
Tom
it was-
Arnold's shining moment.
Yes,
It is.
It was both of them, like working off
that
of
was
each
such a
other.
good movie.
I love True Lies.
I've heard he actually acts in the movie Maggie, which I've never seen, but I've heard that's him like giving a good acting performance. It's the moment where I think his daughter's becoming a zombie or she's infected with something plague or
Oh,
something.
that's a pretty recent one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like last
15.
10 years, I think. Yeah.
2015.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. So I've heard that being bandied around as like a good acting thing. But when we're talking about acting, maybe we'll get into this later, but I've now seen exactly what Arnold Schwarzenegger should do and what he shouldn't do because we watched Jingle All the Way and Predator.
Oh my God.
He should be doing this, and why anybody thought he should be doing that baffles me. Because this is so obviously his wheelhouse.
Yep. No, I agree.
Is it? Okay.
No,
For that time,
Does he have
for
a
what that
wheelhouse?
was, and for what the world wanted from him at that time, and how popular
At the
he was.
time, yeah.
Yes, this is exactly what he should have been doing. I mean, they're just
Yep.
It did.
now, right? Yeah, right.
All right, let's vote before we talk too much more about acting. Tosh.
True.
Let's just segue into acting. Tosh already voted.
Yeah. Tosh is voting for
For all
aliens.
categories.
Tom.
No, don't go
Oh.
for me. All categories. Just this first one. We're going writing. Drum roll. You can put that in later.
Put it in a post.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Alien. Alien. Okay.
Alien.
Gabe.
Yes, Tom. You're my man.
Yeah, Alien for sure.
Yeah, I got your back today, Josh.
Kyle.
Yeah, we're gonna dominate this podcast.
Dude, I was gonna say something before, but seriously, if you and I agree across the board on it, the game's over. So
I want to vote for Predator.
All right.
Kyle, you shut your fucking mouth.
Wow, it's getting hostile up in here. The original concept for Predator originated as a joke. Someone said that the only person Rocky Balboa of the Rocky franchise had yet to fight was E.T. the extraterrestrial.
I would watch that movie
So would I. Phone
and beat
home.
the shit out of that little alien for 5 rounds.
Dan O'Bannon was hypercritical of any changes made to his script for Alien. And to be fair, he defended some aspects of the film that ended up being most iconic, including H.R. Geiger's designs, which we will talk about in overall. Although he would come on set and nitpick, O'Bannon was generally welcomed by Ridley Scott, until O'Bannon lost his temper and insulted Scott in front of the whole crew. The producers, including Walter Hill, had minimal respect for O'Bannon and largely ignored him, giving him little credit once the film became a success. So don't be an a-hole. I think that's what we learned from that story. Let's move on to acting.
I get that Schwarzenegger has his wheelhouse, like you guys said, but I don't know. It just seems like the shtick got old pretty fast. I mean, how many movies do you make doing this? Like 10, 12 movies doing it?
Oh yeah, and they're all great.
No, they're all pretty shitty.
No, they're
as long as
they're
you make
fantastic.
money, people keep doing it.
I mean, I know people will go see it, but I mean, if I go out in the street and light myself on fire, people will watch that. You know.
Yep, I'm with you, Tom. Tom.
I'll try to put you out.
I'd pee on you to try to put you out.
Okay, so why did anybody try to put Arnold Schwarzenegger out when he got on stage and lit himself on fire? I just
because everyone's doing cocaine and enjoying it.
I don't know. I just like it feels like now there isn't a place in the world for Arnold Schwarzenegger anymore. It just his thing's kind of worn out, and he peaked with True Lies, which is an absolutely amazing movie, and I love watching it. But these just aged so badly. But on the other hand, I thought the acting in Alien was they did a really good job of staying out of the way. Where I think Predator would have been a better movie I can't believe I'm going to say this, but if Schwarzenegger had kind of just toned it down just a little bit and made it a movie, about the alien, the Predator trying to get these guys and, focused more on the villain than the good guys, like Alien did. In Alien, it was more about the alien hunting them and the fascination with it and everything else. And we never get a good shot of the Predator until right at the end of the movie. And
there's a reason for that. I have trivia for that. I'm
sure you do. So so anyway, I think that I prefer the acting in Alien because I think they did a better job of just basically staying out of the way and letting the story and the directing kind of drive the story home. And I don't know. Schwarzenegger his older stuff just doesn't do it for me anymore.
I totally agree, Tom. Arnold. People loved it back in the day, but it has not aged well. Kind of The Rock is kind of taking his mantle of action hero away, and I think Rock is a way better actor than Arnold is. And I know it's not saying much, but I think Rock is a way better than Arnold. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The Alien, I didn't think anyone gave really a bad performance at all in that movie. I just thought they did good enough and tell a story and we got what we needed. But Predator is just like, look at me, I got muscles, and oh yeah, I'm gonna say this line really corny because that's how I am. And maybe that's just because it's some casting choices the director made with the people, like Ventura and whatnot. But I totally agree. Alien was way better acted.
Well, and Tosh, it's funny that you bring up that The Rock has kind of taken his mantle. If you ever watch The Rundown, there's the
right. They do that. They do that nod down.
Yeah. Which is fantastic.
Passing the torch.
Yep.
Passing the torch.
Yep.
Well, I'm gonna go 3 for 3 on this. I think people are mostly right, or I agree with your opinions in this aspect. But I think we got to give them some credit in Predator for staying, true to what it wanted to be, and it didn't ever wander or feel like out of place. It felt like it all fit in the movie. And from a purely technical standpoint, I imagine acting in a situation like that would be fucking miserable. To be in the jungle constantly and be stuck. You don't think so?
No, because I know where they shot it.
Oh, okay.
They shot it. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. I'm just thinking about the guy in the Predator suit also. That has got to suck. Even if you're on a stage or a set or somewhere, you're talking like 1980 whatever. So the ventilation sucks in that suit. You're running around in that fucking thing, and I bet you can barely see, and it's got to suck. But yes, Alien. To me, pretty obviously has the much better acting in it. With the exception of Ian Holm when he shows to be an android, which was comical, spinning around like a maniac and throwing Sigourney Weaver around. But man, Sigourney Weaver has aged pretty well, in my opinion, considering how old this was.
Yes.
And man, I did not realize she was a fox till the end when she got out of her spacesuit. And now that Wonder Woman is in the box office, I'm going to take my little misogyny trip right there. So I'm done.
Yeah, you'll never look at the movie Dave the same way again.
I mean, she is like built, like she looked pretty muscular, and I guess I never realized how tall she was.
Yeah.
She's pretty imposing.
Yeah.
And there we have it. Kyle's got a thing for Sigourney Weaver.
Man, how can you not at the end of that movie? That's pretty good. I'll give special props to the cat in this movie, who has more jump scares than the actual alien.
Yes.
Yeah.
That fucking cat.
Yeah.
Who brings a cat on a long haul space flight?
I was saving that for directing.
Who thought smoking was going to still be a thing in space?
Yeah. I know.
Kyle, you're taking my shit.
I'm sorry, man.
We'll talk about that later. That's
Cats
not
and smoking.
Christ.
Yeah. No, it's clear that the acting in Alien is far superior. It's very hokey in Predator. But again, it kind of serves the purpose. It's not intended to be. I don't think anyone was ever taking Predator very seriously.
No, it's not supposed to be thought
so
provoking.
So there's no reason for them to give it an Oscar-worthy performance. Just be that character, kind of be over the top. Do your thing, and we'll be fine. So I'm not sure that it's really out of place in Predator, but if you put them side by side, I mean, clearly Alien is far superior. And I'm always amazed at when they can do things like that, when they can have that amount of fear, show that much fear and that much emotion with probably nothing there. Although I did see a thing about the new Alien Covenant movie, and you were talking about the Predator being in a costume. Well, the alien was in a costume too. That was actually a person in a costume.
Mm-hmm.
Some really, really super skinny dude, apparently.
Don't you dare take what I'm going to talk about.
Okay, but anyway, I saw a thing recently about Alien Covenant, and it was in certain scenes. It was actually an alien in costume. There was a guy in a costume there, and they were like, that's the thing that surprised me the most, because that made it feel more real.
Right.
That the actors were like, oh, holy shit, I turned around and there it was. I mean, it was actually there. And so they were, so that I think that's really cool, and that it helps generate those kinds of emotions and makes those performances more believable. And so, I felt like the performances in Alien were very good and very believable all around.
You bring up good points, Kyle, where it would have been miserable. I want to ask Tom, where was it filmed?
Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, which I think is a big spring break spot now. So
now, but
now
there.
They
Puerto Vallarta is very nice. I like it.
It was a resort town, so
they all suffered from like inexplicable diarrhea, except for
it's still Mexico.
Well, right.
I mean,
but also like there's a lot of trivia about how many leeches they were pulling off of themselves in between takes, and like it was miserable. Like and Kyle's right with the Predator suit being horrible for whoever was in there, which I have.
Hold on, could you say that again slower for my phone, just real quick? I'm gonna record it.
Why?
Say I'm right one more time.
Kyle Fine is right.
just so I can play it.
Kyle Fine was right.
Oh my god.
You're welcome.
Did you get that? Did that work?
I'm so hard.
I agree with you guys. Predator's just an entertaining film for me, where I get a little more into Alien. You kind of care about the people more. In Predator, it's just guns, muscles, and screaming. Like that's what it is. It's just all testosterone. And I don't think it was meant to be thought-provoking, like Gabe said. So, you guys want to add anything else to acting? Should we discuss the fact that two of the actors from Predator have been governors of states?
Yeah. I thought that when I was watching it too. I'm like, oh, is that crazy that two of them went on to be governors? It's weird.
It brings up the great SNL skit where Carl Weathers was trying to He's like, why can't I be governor? Like, give me a state you guys don't really care about, like Kansas or something like that. But apparently Jesse Ventura and Sonny Landham, the giant Indian fellow, they both actually ran for the Senate as well, which I didn't know. I ran across that. But just real quick, Sonny Landham was given a bodyguard during the shoot. The bodyguard was there to protect the other actors because apparently Sonny has a really bad temper.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, the insurance company would not insure them unless he had a bodyguard to protect the other actors from Sonny.
Really?
Yes. Isn't that crazy?
It's like a reverse bodyguard.
That's crazy. But yeah, we brought up that Shane Black was in it. I've spouted off how much I love Shane Black on this show multiple times.
Oh yeah.
Carl, we brought up Carl Weathers. He's great. Seeing him, they always imagine him playing that part of Dylan anyway. Kyle's right. Sigourney Weaver is a fox. All right.
Ooh, I like this Kyle's right thing. This keeps going on.
But the older she got, the more movies I saw her in, it was, I don't know if it was lighting or anything. I mean, but she kind of had a butterface in some films. I don't know what it was. It just bothered me. Harry Dean Stanton, which Kyle always gets messed up with. Who, Kyle? Dean Stockwell. Remember that? No? Okay.
No.
Nope. Nope, don't remember it.
And you got John Hurt, Tom Skerritt.
Hold on. Oh, I'm back. Oh my God.
What?
That scared me. Sorry, I got disconnected.
Oh.
You guys were talking about me.
We were.
Oh, we were. Oh, shit.
I brought up the fact that you always got Harry Dean Stanton and Dean Stockwell confused.
Oh God, yeah, that's true. I could never tell those two fucking people apart.
So, would you guys like to add anything else for acting? If that's a no, we can vote. Tom.
Yeah, I gotta go Alien on this one.
All right, Gabe.
Yeah, Alien for sure.
Kyle.
I mean, you put all these actors together on a spaceship, you got a stew going. I'm gonna vote for Alien.
I
Tosh.
was wondering who dropped that. Nice job.
Alien.
All right. Now, here's what I didn't want you guys to steal. According to an interview with director John McTiernan, the quote-unquote hole-in-the-jungle appearance of the Predator was played by Jean-Claude Van Damme. In a blue screen, actually red suit, Van Damme quit after 2 days, unhappy with being cast as an uncredited special effect. I also read somewhere else where he was actually fired. But can be seen in as the Predator in If It Bleeds, We Can Kill It, the making of Predator from 2001. The alien was scrapped, redesigned, and was eventually played by Kevin Peter Hall, who was 7 foot 2 inches tall.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was Harry the Henderson, right?
Yes, he was. He was Harry.
Really?
Boom.
I
That's
actually
right,
read.
knowledge, people.
I actually read they had bungee straps on the back of him because the suit weighed 200 some odd pounds. So
Really?
the bungee was there to help keep weight off. So when he ran and walked, it would actually look a little more real instead of him, essentially dragging
Lumbering
his
around
feet.
with that.
Yes. And he stated that it was miserable. They would pull him out of the suit every once in a while just so they could take all the leeches off of his body.
Oh.
Now I'm going to butcher this gentleman's name. Bolahi Badejo, who plays the alien in the movie, was a graphic artist who was discovered at a pub by one of the casting directors for Alien. He was 7 feet 1 inches tall with thin arms, just what they needed to fit into the alien costume. He was sent for Tai Chi and mime classes to learn how to slow down his movement. A special swing had to be constructed for him to sit down during filming, as he could not sit down on a regular chair once he was suited up because of the alien's tail. And also to add to what someone was talking about was like the fright or whatever with the alien. They did not allow him to eat lunch or eat any lunches, any dinners, whatnot with the rest of the cast. They didn't want him part of the cast because they wanted, the scares. They didn't want people to say, "Oh, it's just him in a suit."
Yeah.
So there you go.
Interesting.
Let's move on.
I find that amazing. That's one thing, and we can segue into directing with that maybe. That's one thing I find amazing about certain directors is they think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That they think, hey, in order to get the best performances out of these actors, let's separate him out so he doesn't build that same camaraderie with them.
Right.
And I've heard that kind of stuff over and over about great directors. They think about things like that to get different, different ways to get great performances out of their actors. And to me, that's really incredible.
And not, it's not going to sway any votes on this, but John McTiernan actually enrolled all the commandos. They actually spent a few weeks training together. Mm-hmm. To build the camaraderie. Like they learned how to do, like all the hand signals and that are real. Like, and they would get up every morning. This is funny. They would get up every morning and work out. Carl Weathers would wait till they were done and then go work out. So everyone just thought that he had that physique naturally, which he later stated. But after their workout, they would go and they would run drills, like military drills. Before they filmed every day. It's kind of neat reading all that stuff.
Yeah.
See, you say that they learned all the hand signals and stuff like that, but I'm watching Schwarzenegger and I'm like, that's not a real hand signal.
Apparently it was.
I'm looking, it looked totally fake. Like he made it up. Like that's how bad he was in it. Like he knew it and he performed it, and I was like, that's fake.
That's fake. All right, let's move on to direct.
I think what's funny about Schwarzenegger in that movie is he's the only one talking any fucking sense. Everybody else's ideas are terrible.
Yes.
And he's the only one trying to stop them from fucking dying all the time.
That's true.
Anyways. Directing. Well, both movies directed by very good directors. John McTiernan did Die Hard, which is probably, the quintessential action movie. Ridley Scott's gone on to do a million things that all of us love. I imagine it was probably a very hard job for both of these directors. One physically, in the jungle, trooping around with these people, filming that stuff, and for Ridley Scott, from what I read, his vision is really one of the reasons Alien has become as popular as it was. He went in with storyboards and got the budget doubled for this movie. So really kind of a visionary director in that way, and has been a part of the Alien franchise for a really long time. I think both these movies are well directed for what they are. They're both obviously very different. Alien really, to me, is a horror film, and the sci-fi stuff is tangential. The way they separate and talk and think is like watching a horror movie sometimes. But I mean, I think they were both well done for what they are. Alien is. I actually had a few issues with the Alien. With Alien, at parts, it felt a little too slow. It felt a little too heavy-handed with its references and its obvious. Taking obvious inspiration from 2001: A Space Odyssey, but I think they were both good. It's I don't know. I don't want to vote up ahead, but I think they were good for what they were. I think both of them are very capably directed. But I think Ridley Scott created something that has lasted for a very long time. Predator was kind of here and there. Alien has lived on for years and years and years, and I think that's owed a lot to the way he brought a vision to this project. Yeah,
for sure. Alien is, I think, masterfully. That was a bad choice of words.
Yeah, right.
It was really, really, really well directed. I thought. I think we often talk about cinematography in this category, and the cinematography in Alien is just fantastic.
Yep.
And it really sets the tone for a lot of other top Ridley Scott films and some of my favorite films. Although I was surprised to find that the cinematographer it was not who I expected it to be. It was not someone I was familiar with. And he really didn't do a lot of cinematography for very many films. And I was a little bit surprised because it's just fantastically over the top, beautiful. It's so strange that it can be so gritty and grungy and dark and so beautiful all at the same time. And I can't say, I can't say anything apparently, but I just can't say enough about the cinematography in Alien. I think it's fantastic. However, I was actually a little bit surprised with Predator. It looked better than I remembered it. When I rewatched it this time for the show, I was like, oh well, it's going to have a hard time competing against Alien, but it looks better than I remember it looking. It's not bad. The cinematography is definitely not terrible. But
it's got some very interesting shots in it too. There's a very long pan up shot up a tree that, like, when they reveal like kind of the skinned bodies for the first time, I thought was really cool. But the visual effects in Predator have aged horribly. The mirroring of the camouflage. And I don't know who thought Predator vision looked cool back then, but it is just infuriating now.
Well,
it was just hard for me to watch it.
Like infrared or something, I suppose.
Yeah, but
yeah, and I think it won. It won some awards for visual effects, did it not?
Let me look.
Only if Mike had that information in front of him.
Only.
Yeah. I believe it did, and which is interesting because it does.
Oscar.
It was nominated. Okay, I didn't know if it had won. I thought I read it had won, but and I'm not sure what Alien was nominated for in any of those categories. But I just think that Alien was brilliantly directed. It's so fantastic, and that same thing that I saw about Alien Covenant is really interesting. Ridley Scott is just fantastic. He's just amazing to me because he draws all these storyboards, and he's a fantastic artist. He draws all these things, and each storyboard is like a little work of art, and it's very detailed, and it's just it comes through in the final product.
Okay, you
I
ready?
think.
You ready for your answers for
Sure.
Alien? One, best effects, visual effects. Alien did. It also won.
Are these? It won. Okay.
BAFTA award, which is essentially the
British
Oscars. Yeah. Best production design, best soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. And we'll get into those things later.
Yeah, and then there's a whole bunch of other awards that we may care about, but no one else does. So.
I loved Alien sets. I thought they were
fantastic,
just gorgeous. Like when they land on the planet and then they go into that other ship where the alien eggs are. It's just so beautiful. I was like, man, they actually made for the most part made those sets, and I'm like, they just don't do that anymore. It's just great.
Actually, they didn't want to build the set with what's the the alien suited guy.
The alien jockey?
Yeah, the space. What's he called? Space jockey or something like that.
Space jockey, yeah.
They actually did not want to make that until I believe it was the producer, one of the writers, stated, "This is your big moment. This is when you show that there's more to this world than, this is your Cecil B. DeMille shot," and so they did it. And apparently, after they shot it, someone on set had left a cigarette on it, and it burned up, went up in flames.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Really?
Yes.
Unfortunately, after. Yeah. Wow. That's
Man.
nuts. Yeah. Well, yeah, and that is amazing about it too. How much of that stuff is actually practical?
Mm-hmm.
Because now it would be all digital. It would be set extensions. They'd have a little piece of the set for the actors to walk on, and the rest of it would be digital. And it's hard to impress us nowadays. Because we know it's like, well, yeah, they just painted that basically, and it's really not that impressive. But to think of that as an actual that ship, I had read that that the set for the ship itself was one continuous piece. It was all one giant set. Because in some movies you might build like here's a set that's the bridge, and here's a separate one in a different room that's this hallway, or here's one that's the dining hall or whatever. But apparently it was all one piece. It was all one interconnected giant set.
Yeah, they weren't on different locations. Like
right,
different
and to me
sound stages.
that's just incredible. And I think that brings a certain amount of realism to it, but plausibility. Like this looks real. This looks lived in. It looks constructed. It doesn't look so. One of the drawbacks of a lot of the modern digital effects is that they always seem so pristine. They don't seem lived in. They're not dirty, and they're not marked up, and they're not rusty and all that. It just all looks so perfect, and so therefore also kind of a little bit less believable. And I just think that stuff is incredible.
Would we have preferred, though, a cleaner look than Ian Holm glazed like a donut talking to us? Because that was odd.
It wasn't perfect, but
No, that felt so weird to me.
When he spit out the milk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
and, that part was, that was like, oh, that's an old school kind of film.
Yeah, what can you do
right
in
there.
1979?
Yeah, clearly his head is through,
Right.
a hole
Right.
in the set, like, oh, okay.
and the
You know,
15 seconds
that didn't age well, but
the 15 seconds where they're trying to like set the head up to line it up with
Yeah.
the shot. It's like, fuck, I won't stay up straight. The poor editors like, I can't cut to it till now. So
yeah, and there's some awkward jump cut there to get it to the actual head. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think-
that wasn't perfect by any means.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear. John McTiernan found his feet with Die Hard. He didn't quite have it with Predator in terms of storytelling, and he had a better story to work with Die Hard. And Hunt for Red October and Thomas Crown Affair, he just had better stories to work with later on. And it's too bad that he doesn't direct
more.
movies anymore.
Yeah.
Well, jail will do that to you. But
What'd you say?
I said jail will do that to you.
Yeah.
So he's a felon. Anyway, I feel he's going to kill me or something. But yeah, I think Ridley Scott found his feet a lot faster than he did. So can we talk about music?
Let's save that for overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Then I'm done talking. Then.
Okay. Anyone want to add anything else? I was going to go through the list, both of their list of films, just ones that stand out. So Ridley Scott, I'm going to make Gabe pass out from lack of blood in his head and in his brain, I should say. Alien, Blade Runner, Legend, Black Rain, Thelma and Louise. We won't go with G.I. Jane. Gladiator, Hannibal, Black Hawk Down, Matchstick Men, Kingdom of Heaven, American Gangster, Body of Lies, Robin Hood, Prometheus, Exodus, Gods and Kings, The Martian, and Alien Covenant. So, I mean, and I skipped over some of his, lesser known films like G.I. Jane, 1492, Someone to Watch Over Me, and also he directed the Apple Mac 1984 commercial.
Yeah. You can see it. I mean,
After Blade Runner.
Yep. And then when you jump to John McTiernan, you've got Predator, Die Hard, Hunt for Red October, Medicine Man, Last Action Hero, Die Hard with a Vengeance, 13th Warrior, Thomas Crown Affair. We won't talk about Rollerball, but I really enjoyed Basic. And McTiernan has this, Ridley Scott has these, trademarks that he does. Some of his shots are trademark Ridley Scott shots. But one thing that always sticks out to me with McTiernan is he has this great way of, one thing that always bothers me when you're watching a movie and you're like, hey, that person should not be speaking English. I shouldn't be able to understand him. He should have subtitles. he has a great way of moving in to someone's mouth, and then all of a sudden like Hunt for Red October, you know, they're speaking Russian, you're reading the subtitles, he moves into the mouth and they're speaking English, and you pull back, and then the rest of the film's in English, you know, rest of the time the Russians are speaking is in English. I just think that's a great trick, and he also does it in the 13th Warrior. So that's all I wanted to say about that. And we've
say
done
when you ran down that list, the movie that stood out to me, Ridley Scott, is Kingdom of Heaven, which is a movie I really enjoyed, and one of the movies that when I saw the director's cut, I liked less. I actually liked the theatrical cut better than like the 4-hour Ridley Scott version.
And that would be one criticism of Ridley Scott, is that he sometimes can't just let it go.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, because, you know, one of my favorite films of all time has how many different versions?
Like,
I mean, there are like 5, at least minimum 5 different versions of Blade Runner. And, you know, while that makes for some kind of fun trivia and some fun viewing, like, oh, how are they different, that kind of thing. It's also, you also get to the point where it's like, okay, it's done. It is what it is. Let it be.
Right.
Let it go.
Right.
And he does have trouble with that sometimes.
That's where
Maybe because he's such a perfectionist. I don't know.
that could be.
Did any of you watch the director's cut of Alien for this, or did you guys all watch the original theatrical?
Well, I don't know. I didn't realize there were multiple of Alien.
I watched the original.
I believe I watched the original as well.
I think I did too.
Okay, it came up on my Blu-ray, and I froze for like a minute. I'm like, shit, I don't know which one to watch. But so I went with the theatrical.
What are the major differences?
I don't know. I Googled and I said, which one's better? And I found some online poll where the 79 one blew the new one away. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just watch the one that people say is better.
Well, and I get a lot of, I'll get some gruff probably, definitely from Gabe, but, you know, I remember the original cut of Blade Runner, which is him narrating. And that was the first time, that was the first one that I watched. So to me, I enjoy that one more for some reason. And I don't know why. You know, I don't, you know, Ridley Scott didn't want the narration in that. And we talked about that.
And neither did Harrison Ford.
Right. But for some reason, I enjoy that one more. But anyway, I digress.
But you know, I can admit that, you know, it's some of it does help explain a little bit some of what's happening in the story.
Yeah.
But it's on a, you know, on another level, it's a little bit distracting, and it's kind of like, but it didn't necessarily, it fit kind of the genre. Yeah, because it was I would say that it was just a sci-fi film noir basically, and so it kind of fit the genre that was very common in the film noir genre.
Right.
So you know, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it is interesting to see it kind of to allow you, instead of being, I hate it when you're told what's happening in a film.
Right.
I prefer to see and discover and understand it on my own without having to be told. But sometimes that's it's difficult, you know, to do that, and so sometimes that narration really helps.
Right. So. Anything else for directing? Anyone? No. All right.
I just checked. The director's cut is actually a minute shorter, and Ridley Scott prefers the original 79 version. I have no idea why those two things. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
No, it doesn't.
But whatever. Okay.
Weird.
That's like Spielberg, you know, when he says he hates the fact that he put walkie-talkies in, you know,
in
replace the guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pacing thing, he says. So there's some just cuts that make it move a little faster. So.
Ridley Scott cites three films as the shaping influences for Alien: Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, 2001: A Space Odyssey for their depiction of outer space, and Tobe Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre for its treatment of horror.
Interesting.
Makes sense.
The first two I can see.
Yeah. The studio would not allow John McTiernan to shoot Predator in anamorphic widescreen. Now, I think this is funny. Due to the complexities of the optical effects. As a sly sort of retaliation, he added an anamorphic version of the film's opening 20th Century Fox logo, which looks noticeably stretched on screen.
That's funny.
Yeah, I like that. All right, let's move on to our last category, which is overall.
Did we vote?
No, we didn't. You're right. let's I already know where this is going. Kyle,
Alien.
Gabe,
Yeah, no question. Alien.
Tosh,
Yep.
Tom.
Alien.
All right, there you go. I knew it.
All
All
right,
right.
we didn't really need to vote, but there it is.
Yep. All right,
It's official.
go ahead, Gabe.
Yeah, overall, there's so much fun stuff to talk about, actually, probably with both of these overall. One of the things that we maybe touched on a little bit in the directing, aside from the cinematography, is the production design. The production design of Alien is just over the top fantastic. We were talking about the sets and that kind of thing, but just the attention to detail in the whole film just creates that world. It makes it feel real. It makes it feel believable. It makes it feel lived in, and it's just fantastic. And I think it's a hallmark of a lot of Ridley Scott films. And it's amazing to me how much time they put into those things that most people don't notice and that only spend a few seconds on screen. I came across this article online that was really interesting to me, and you would think that it would be boring, but it was really interesting. It was this whole article about the typography in Alien. And they talk about all types of different typography in Alien, from the opening titles, which are really cool. If you remember the opening titles where the word alien comes in kind of one line at a time. And that's a very cool, interesting technique for that. And then they talk about the typography on the computer screens, the typography on the signage in the ship, and on their clothing, and the logos that appear, and the symbols that are used. And they went through a whole bunch of trouble to create all of these things that only have kind of like passing interest to us as viewers in the film, but I think adds so much to that world. And I just think it's amazing how much time and money they spend on those kinds of things for a movie like that. But I don't know. To me, I think it's worth it, because it creates this whole believable world that we can all kind of enter for a period of time.
Well, right, because sometimes the little details will sell it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people overlook that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, I think that says a little bit about directing as well. That the director is willing, and maybe even the person who kind of encourages spending that time on those types of things to make it just right. And I think those types of things were not really of major concern in Predator. And that's okay. Again, I think we're looking at a different type of film. Predator definitely falls more into the action type film. Mm-hmm. And so we're more worried about things like, pyrotechnics and weaponry and those kinds of things. And we're less worried about like, the surroundings and the although they did do some interesting stuff, I thought, with the production design of the alien, of the Predator itself, and his devices.
That's all thanks to Stan Winston. This is in my notes to talk about Stan Winston in this category.
Yeah, and that stuff I think is really cool. When he does that countdown thing, and it's these kind of indecipherable symbols, but we still know what it means. We know, like, shit, we've got a limited amount of time. I don't know how much, but it's definitely counting down. And that kind of stuff I thought was very very cool in Predator.
Can we talk about the music now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, let's talk about it.
Okay. Normally, I really like Alan Silvestri, but did anybody feel like they were just like watching Back to the Future retreads or listening to retread music from Back to the Future during Predator?
I did a little bit, yes.
Yeah, it's just like I was waiting for Doc Brown to jump out. fucking
Dutch.
DeLorean to come in and stop him.
Dutch, we got to go to the future. Your kids turn into assholes.
And at the times it was like, well, that wasn't. I mean, obviously, Alan Silvestri has these instruments that he likes using, but there were times where I was just like, it was like silly music while they're running through the jungle, and it was like completely the wrong mood. And I don't know. I probably ruined Predator for a lot of you, and you're welcome. But I think some of it was it just seemed like it was leftover stuff from Back to the Future, because some of those things, and John Williams, I guess, is guilty of the same thing of just kind of liking chords and certain instruments. But the music of Predator, I thought, was just too familiar.
One of the interesting things I thought about the music in Predator was that it felt like it was very dramatic. The music was very dramatic, but the shot that it was going with, nothing was really happening. They're just like they're just walking somewhere. You know, they're going through the jungle, they're walking somewhere, and the music is just over the top dramatic.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, okay, yeah, nothing's happening. You know, it's not,
even times before you even realize there's an alien involved in the story. Just
right. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, you know, but it also, the flip side of that is that it also kind of gives a hint as to the power of music, and how you can make something that's maybe not so interesting more interesting just by adding good music to it. And so, you know, it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger is grabbing his bag out of the helicopter and throwing it in a Jeep. And if you said that, people would be like, I don't want to watch that. That's boring. Skip over that and go to something interesting. But you throw a little good music over top of it, and it's like, oh, okay, this is more, this is more dramatic. It's building something about Arnold Schwarzenegger and his character or something. Right. I don't know.
Well, and it's funny you guys talk about the music in Predator, and I ran across something when I was researching trivia where Jerry Goldsmith was actually getting really upset with Ridley Scott because of all the edits that they kept doing on Alien, that a lot of his musical cues were lost. Like they would lose some of their bite.
So to speak.
So to speak, yes.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
They kept seeing it, and it's like, oh, you guys are, you're using this song in the wrong spot, or using this piece in the wrong spot. So I'll try and find it, but you guys go ahead and keep talking. I'll see if I can get it.
Can I tell you something really funny? This is just between us, the 48 guys, but the Mr. and Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Lisa scored that, and when she saw the final film, she had the same reaction as Jerry Goldsmith, where she was like, really? None of my music is in the right spot. You guys completely fucked this up. Yeah. So I'm going to tell her, I was like, Jerry Goldsmith had the same problem with Alien. You're in good company.
Yeah, I want to say it was Jerry Goldsmith. I'm going to keep reading. You guys go ahead and keep talking. I'll see if I can find it.
I don't have anything to say.
I think I was pleasantly surprised by Predator. I thought it was going to be kind of a mess, but it felt fairly coherent for what it was. Whether you like that kind of stuff or it ages well is personal preference. Alien, I think I expected a little bit more out of than what I saw, but at the same time, I think I probably had Alien and Aliens confused in my mind for about 10 years, which I would imagine a lot of people maybe suffer from. Boy, yeah, I don't have much to add to this because I don't think I paid much attention to the music, but I think in both cases, for me, the things that stood out for like special effects, the modeling in Alien was very cool. I liked the under the ship stuff and the big set pieces, very well done. And in Predator, I thought the suit looked great when he finally got up close. That's one of those iconic monsters to me from my, teenage movie watching years is the Predator. And when he takes that mask off, to me, that held up, still looked frightening, still looked good. And considering how long ago that was made, it was very impressive. I was right there with Gabe when he's pushing the nuclear weapon on his arm and you see those lines clicking around and then disappearing. I think that's very clever to be able to tell someone you're running out of time, but I'm not going to tell you with numbers. I'm going to use some alien system and we're going to get shorter and shorter. You'll get the gist of it. I think that's really clever. Don't know how Arnold survived a nuclear blast from that close.
Right.
He's a tough son of a bitch.
Right.
But man, I had always thought the line "Get to the chopper" was from another movie. I don't know why. But
No.
it's obviously from Predator.
No.
I think in that also points out that he said so many one-liners, I can't keep any of them straight anymore.
Just real quick, Jerry Goldsmith was most aggrieved by the changes that Ridley Scott and his editor, Terry Rawlings, wrought upon his score. Scott felt that Goldsmith's first attempt at the score was far too lush and needed it to be a bit more minimalist. Then Goldsmith was horrified to discover that his amended score had been dropped in places by Rawlings, who inserted segments from Goldsmith's earlier score for Freud. Freud instead. Rawlings had initially used those as a guide track only and ended up preferring them to Goldsmith's revised work. Goldsmith harbored a grudge against the two until his death in 2004.
Wow.
Isn't that
Wow.
crazy?
Take it to the grave, Jerry. Take
Isn't
it to the
that
grave.
crazy? Also, the Predator. Listen, I love Stan Winston and all of his work. Like, Stan Winston has made movies more believable. I know he didn't work on the Alien costume, which was fantastic, but the Predator was first designed by a special effects company the studio picked to save money. Stan Winston later created the Predator for $1.5 million. This other studio charged half that amount. Because of that, their Predator looked like someone in a lizard suit with the head of a duck. When Winston was brought in to redesign Predator, the final fight scene had to be reshot. The new Predator was 8.5 feet tall, but the recast Kevin Peter Hall was 7'2". The costume was heavy and off balance, and Hall couldn't see with the mask on. Because of that, during the fight scene with Dutch, he actually did hit Schwarzenegger once.
That
So,
didn't surprise me.
I love Stan Winston and everything that he's done. You know, he came on my radar with Jurassic Park. Like,
Yep.
instantly, I was like, I want to know everything that guy has done, and I want to see every movie that he's been a part of. And he's been a part of some great films. But I also want to bring up the fact H.R. Geiger did most of the conceptual work for Alien. You know, they took a lot from his artistry and from Alejandro something's Dune. There's a great documentary out there about this unmade Dune movie, which H.R. Geiger did a lot of the work for. And if you look at some of that sketch art and some of his designs, they reincorporated a lot of that into Alien.
Yeah. And if you've ever seen H.R. Geiger, boy, he kind of looks like a guy who would come up with that.
He does. He kind of looks like a...
himself?
Yeah, and his house is full. I don't know how you could sleep in his house.
Exactly.
It's full of some of the most fucked up artwork.
He
I
looks
mean,
like
it's
an
cool for what
Ugnaught.
it is, but Jesus, it's some dark stuff.
Isn't that the Star Wars creature? Was it in Empire Strikes Back that helps freeze Han? Aren't those Ugnaughts? Is that what those-
Ugnaughts.
Yeah, those are Ugnaughts.
Yeah, he looks like an Ugnaught. I mean, like
He's kind of short and squat, and he has like
Yes.
real big sideburns.
Yes, he looks
Yeah.
like an Ugnaught. But anyway, both of their designs, no matter what, I just really wanted to make sure we talked about them. Were fantastic, I think.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Totally
And
agree.
that the alien stuff is totally, if you know anything about H.R. Geiger, you can totally see that influence.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's still there today.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the newer films, you know, that influence is still there.
All right. Do you guys want to add anything else to overall? I guess I want to ask, and overall, we usually talk about replayability. What would you watch first out of these two again? What do you have most fun watching? And we'll start with Kyle.
I would watch Predator again because it's a movie I've watched a bunch of times and still enjoy. But if you had to tell me sit down and watch an entire series of these movies, it's Alien and it's not close. Because Predator eventually becomes the Adrian Brody Predator.
Yeah.
And Alien versus Predator, which are terrible. And I mean, so it just gets worse and worse. They're making another Predator in 2018.
They are.
There's going to be like I'm not sure if it's a reboot or a continuation. But for a one-time watch, I'd say Predator. But if it's a library of films, I'd watch the Alien movies.
All right, Tom.
Alien by far. I don't know if I'll ever watch Predator again, to be honest with you. That's how much it just didn't like it. But what's funny is in the last 15 years, whenever I've sat down to watch Alien, I inevitably pull Aliens off the shelf because they're right next to each other, and I go, I'd rather watch Aliens.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
The second one.
It's just I think it's just more entertaining and I enjoy myself more. But this podcast made me appreciate, so I'll watch Alien more than I would have, like, say, a week ago. So, but yeah, Alien by a mile.
All right, Tosh.
Predator sucks. That should tell you enough.
All right, Gabe.
Wait.
I don't know.
One second.
Nope. You said should tell you enough, Gabe.
Nope. Wait. I'm talking. Wait. Can we talk about real quick about how the alien got so big so fucking fast?
Oh, in Alien.
It just has a gestation period.
Yeah.
It got. I know what you're saying though. It got huge in like a matter of hours.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know much about its xenobiology. I'm using a big word there, but yeah, holy shit! It got enormous real fast. And the only kind of handwave explanation is Harry Dean Stockwell or whoever finding
Dean Stanton.
That's the one. Finding its like discarded skin, before he gets killed.
Yep.
Either by Jones the cat or the alien. I can't remember who killed him, but
yeah, you think you'd have to feed on something beforehand, and then maybe he fed on energy. I don't know. That's a mystery.
We fed on John Hurt, so it's just nicotine and port wine, I assume.
But that's what I'm like, man, how did he get so big so fast?
It is true. Yeah, and with the pacing of that movie, being so slow, it's a little bit ironic that the alien grew so quickly.
Yeah, if they'd have told me the movie happened over the course of a month in space, I would have believed it a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah, maybe if there was some sort of transition there that made it seem like there was a passage of time.
Right.
So the alien's on board and they just go about their shit.
Yeah, they just do whatever.
So what's for dinner tonight,
guys? I haven't seen it.
It's probably this weird cereal stuff we can't stop eating that's all these cereal-looking containers.
Yeah.
Let's have some more food.
Gabe.
Jesus, they ate a lot.
And they've
been sleeping.
Sleeping
forever. You're hungry. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Jesus.
Midnight, the alien's digging through the fridge.
Oh, man, I'm always starving. Yeah.
Why are there no Lucky Charms?
It would be funny to show the crew getting violent with each other because the alien is eating their food, but they're blaming the other crew members.
They kill each other off instead of the alien.
It's a different movie where
they show the alien just eating a bowl of Cheerios, just shrugging. What happened here?
It's a very different movie you've proposed, where the alien, instead of being a scary monster, is kind of a scamp who's just up to mischief.
Yeah. Like Home Alone.
Tying their shoes together and eating their cereal in the middle of the night.
He's just a shitty roommate. That's what you
it's a very Little Rascals version of Alien.
Yeah. Who left the cereal bowl in the sink again?
There's a cut to Sigourney Weaver talking to it like, I have to pay your rent again. Really?
Yeah. You owe us $50 for electricity.
Did you pay the water bill last month?
You could take the whole teenage Groot scene from Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and just put in Sigourney Weaver and the alien, telling it to clean up its room and stop playing video games.
Yeah.
All right, Gabe. Gabe, rewatchability, Gabe.
I would watch either of these again. I think Predator is not a great movie necessarily, and it hasn't aged all that well, but it was still pretty entertaining. I certainly wasn't like, oh God, I have to watch this. Right. I enjoyed it. It was a fun watch. But if you really want, if you want to watch masterful filmmaking and a really kind of tense, beautiful film, then I would come back to Alien before Predator anytime.
Well, and for me, I love Predator because of its campiness. I love the one-liners. I love all the guns. I love the explosions. It's just entertainment for me. Alien is kind of a masterclass almost in a thriller. You know, you don't see the alien for how long? You know, it doesn't make an appearance for how long into the film? And
almost an hour, I'd imagine.
And really, you don't ever get a real good close up of it till towards the end.
Look at it.
You know, it's great, and I would watch both of them again. But if I'm given a chance, I'd be like, oh, I'll watch Predator, just because it's entertaining to me. And if I want to sit down and think and kind of learn, I'd watch Alien again. So it's all about what you're wanting at the time. Let's go ahead and vote. Gabe.
Yeah, overall Alien.
Tom.
Yeah, Alien.
All right, Mark. Tosh.
Alien.
Already marked. Kyle.
I'm gonna vote for Predator.
All right.
You son of a bitch.
All right.
So did Predator? Yeah, I bet I can guess the count.
Oh yeah, anyone that can do math can guess the count.
Predator wins. I failed algebra.
Yes. I have a few more pieces of trivia here. I bring this up because I'm a child of the 80s, and I grew up with this man's voice on my TV every afternoon. The famous clicking and gurgling sound the Predator makes throughout the movie was thought up by Peter Cullen, who actually did the voice for him. He also voices Optimus Prime. After the producers approached him to give the Predator's voice, he was taken aback because he had no idea what something like that was supposed to sound like, not to mention that the producers were reluctant to show what the character was finally going to look like. And Cullen, who thought the Predator creature resembled a horseshoe crab after he finally looked at it, remembered as a kid how if you turned one over, they would gurgle, and that became the Predator's sound. The dead face hugger that Ash autopsies in Alien was made using fresh shellfish, 4 oysters, and a sheep kidney to recreate the internal organs.
I'm sorry.
I imagine that
Mark.
smelled delicious.
I'm sorry. I'm writing that recipe down. How many cups of olive oil was that?
3.
3 cups of olive oil.
Yes,
Okay, got it.
and just a dash of salt.
Well, of course. Shellfish.
The inside of the alien eggs, as seen by Kane, was composed of real organic material. Director Ridley Scott used cattle hearts and stomachs. The egg tube of the face hugger was sheep intestines.
Huh.
Ugh.
Man, that's a smelly set.
Yeah, that would stink, wouldn't it?
Yummy.
All right.
Yikes.
And then also, I thought since we were doing sci-fi, there's actually some science for both, or science-related trivia for both of these films. I will start with Joel Hynek, a special effects supervisor who directed design of the Predator's camouflage effect, is the son of J. Allen Hynek, PhD, who originated the close encounter hierarchy for categorizing interactions with aliens. So you know that close encounters of the third kind, first kind, second kind. He devised that. And then I'm sure you guys have all heard of this, but Alison Bechdel's column, Dykes to Watch Out For, quote unquote, once proposed a simple test to see if a film treated its female characters as equal members of the cast. The rule has 3 parts. The film must feature, number 1, at least 2 female characters who, number 2, have a conversation with each other that, number 3, isn't about one of the male characters. The criteria came to be known as the Bechdel test. God, I got whatever Gabe had. The character in the column says that the last movie she saw that fit these criteria was Alien. Interestingly, there was a scene filmed between Ripley and Lambert where they talk about Ash, but it ended up being deleted. So,
but is Ash isn't really like a person.
well, yeah, that's true.
Ash is android, right?
Yeah.
So they're talking about a robot. Does that count?
Wait,
I don't know.
In order to pass this test, they can never talk about a male, or they have to have at least one conversation that's not about a male.
At least one conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are lots of movies that pass that test. Predator doesn't.
No.
There are not 2 female characters.
Yeah.
No way. And the only one doesn't speak English for 90%.
Or actually,
of the
you know what?
movie.
No, maybe it is all.
No,
Let me
it's they have to have one conversation that
Doesn't. Okay.
doesn't involve a man.
And and is that the same test also about if you can? I think there's another test if you can replace a female with a lamp in a movie. Truly, like if you can replace it with a lamp, is that character even? Is she a female character? Or is she just there? Type of. I was reading that somewhere else a few months ago. So
I would say the major difference is that lamps are warm and give off light.
Oh.
So anyway, for my
You should probably
recommendation,
cut that part.
And I'm a sad man. I'm so
Holy cow.
sad.
all right, let's go on to recommendations, and I'll go first.
Child does not
Can we
have
wrap
to
this
be in
up, please?
politics.
Holy
Whew,
crap.
man, it got hot in here really quick.
yeah,
I like
Or
doing
cold.
that. I like doing that to people.
I'll go with mine first since I have to do all this math. My recommendation is going to be for The Abyss. All right. Directed by James Cameron, stars Ed Harris, Mary Elizabeth Mastriano, Michael Biehn, yada, yada, yada. It's essentially kind of like Alien, maybe a little bit. Maybe, if you think about it. Maybe. If I talk like this really high, it'll sound a little better. So anyway, a civilian diving team is enlisted to search for a lost nuclear submarine and face danger while encountering an alien aquatic species. And it's damn good. I really like The Abyss. And I also really like the director's cut because it has an awesome tidal wave in it. Anyway, let's go to Tosh.
My recommendation is a Netflix series because that's what I watch. Stranger Things. Maybe you guys heard of it, and maybe you guys recommended it before. But
What is this? What is this show you talk about?
Very, very cool show. It's a Goonies 80s throwback with sci-fi, and it is fantastic. I really enjoyed it. It's called
When
Stranger.
does the second season come out?
I'm glad you asked that, Gabe. It comes. The binge watching will occur on Halloween night for
Oh, very
Stranger
nice.
Season,
Oh, God.
season
Right.
2.
Very nice.
I know what I'm doing Halloween night. Holy shit!
Right.
Get handing out
Watch
candy.
the whole thing. That'd be
Handing
great.
out candy.
Yeah.
I don't hand
Well-
out candy.
While
you hand out,
dressed,
you
like,
hand out other things. Got it.
you're gonna be dressed.
Hand
like a
out
sexy
beatings
maid
to the local
binge watch.
toughs.
Yes. So I'm sure everyone's watching that's listening to this podcast. If you're not, check it out. Stranger Things. Fantastic.
Great show.
Very, very well acted. Usually, young kids acting, and they're usually terrible. This is not the case of this
No,
show.
the kids are really great.
Yeah, fantastic.
They have to be. They're the centerpiece of the whole thing, but they're really, really good.
All right. And the creature is based on Tosh. Tom.
Yes.
your recommendation.
Creature's way better looking.
And smarter. Oh.
All right, so my recommendation, it's awesome. It's on YouTube, and it's only 5 minutes. And it's the Pixar short from several years ago called Lifted.
Yes.
And it's largely a silent film, and it's absolutely hilarious. It's about an alien learning how to operate his UFO and abduct a human. And as far as slapstick comedy, it doesn't get much better than this.
Oh, man.
I mean, every time I watch it, I'm actually, it's on right now, and I'm watching it, but I'm in tears every single time. It's some of the best. It's Charlie Chaplin-esque in how great it is, and you should check it out. It only takes 5 minutes, so if it sucks, you're better off than watching one of these other recommendations that will take up hours of your day.
Tom,
So
you ignorant slut.
What were they? Each of these shorts to me seems to be kind of a test.
Yes.
Like they're testing out some new technique or something. What were they testing on this one? I haven't seen it yet. So what were they testing?
I'm
Gravity.
going to guess this was a Wall-E test. A lot of the science fiction stuff that they use for Wall-E. There's a lot of light and fluid movement in it. So
And
I
it
would
was
probably...
it was before Ratatouille, right?
Yes, I believe it was Ratatouille's lead-in. So that would make sense that...
Yeah.
Isn't the main character from the chef? Isn't that the guy that's abducted? I'm pretty sure it is.
Oh, is it? Yeah, it looks just like him. So
Yeah, it's him. Yeah.
Oh, okay, it is him then. Tosh said it's him, so it's him.
It has to be. Come on.
So are we to say that him becoming a chef is like a real Jacob's Ladder moment where he's actually in the aliens' clutches and he's imagining he's a chef?
With a rat that can cook, that probably makes more
Right.
sense than Ratatouille itself, as much as I love it.
All right, Kyle.
Okay, first of all, I'd just like to say, unlike the president, my misogyny is only for humor. I love and respect women. So, moving on. I'm going to give you a YouTube recommendation, too, just like Tom did. He stole my brevity idea, son of a bitch. It's a music video for a white rapper named Little Dicky. And it is a song called Pillow Talking. And it is a post-coital rap about aliens invading. And they did a shit ton of visual effects. It's a 10-minute song. Has a 10-minute video, and I think it's one of the 50 most expensive music videos ever made, if I read right.
Really?
But I just watched it today, and I think it's hilarious. I am actually a Little Dicky fan. So if
Kyle likes a little Dicky every now and again.
they fit better, and I'm more familiar with them. That's what I got to work with. So, if you are looking for a little humor and some decent rap, it's not his best rap. He's a very talented lyricist. This doesn't necessarily show that off. It's kind of a story rap, not like an R. Kelly in the closet kind of thing, because it's not like 30 parts. But it's fun, and I think the animation is really cool, and it has talking wolves and a talking bronchiosaurus. So if you're into that, it's pretty cool.
Well, I'm in.
You had me at Little Dicky.
All right, so we've totally given up on giving actual movie recommendations. We've gone to YouTube now. Gabe.
Right. Well, I am going to recommend a movie.
Oh, thank God.
I'm going to recommend a movie, a Tom Cruise movie, believe it or not, called Oblivion.
Oh, yes.
Really?
I like Oblivion.
Yeah, it's maybe not a great movie, and the ending I found slightly predictable, but it's a really interestingly beautiful movie. There's some really beautiful cinematography in it. It's a futuristic movie, and kind of I can't remember exactly the reason why the Earth is in such bad shape right off the top of my head, but.
But it's good.
Earth is in bad shape, and there's only a few people left behind, and they're harvesting stuff off of the Earth. And but for a post-apocalyptic movie, it's actually not so dark and gritty. It's actually there's this beauty to it that's really interesting. And it's an interesting story. And as much as I feel like Tom Cruise is potentially insane, he really does some great movies.
He does do some great movies.
He really does, and there's a part of me that wants to say you are insane, but man, you do some great movies, and I like you in these movies, and Oblivion is one of those. If you've never seen it, I would give it a shot. It's a really interesting sci-fi, take.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
I've avoided Oblivion because I felt like the trailer gave everything away with the Morgan Freeman reveal that they stuck in the trailer. How do you
mean? What about the Morgan Freeman reveal?
Well, the whole thing with the Oblivion trailer was he's like, oh, there's nobody left on Earth, blah, blah, blah. And then Morgan Freeman steps out of the trailer, and I'm like, oh, there's still a bunch of people left on Earth. And I'm like, well, that's the movie, isn't it? Or is there a lot more?
Not exactly. No.
Is there a lot more to it after that?
There's more
to it. Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely more to it.
Then I shall check it out.
Yeah.
It's actually, I remember now, Gabe. The reason Morgan Freeman is in it is because the Penguins destroyed their Earth.
You're right. It was the Penguin. Yeah. They all huddled
Penguin.
together and melted the polar ice
They
cap.
marched. They marched towards Tom Cruise.
They marched
And then
against
Tom Cruise
the
is
humans.
running. Just
Right.
running, always running.
Yeah, that's how he survived. He ran in front of the marching penguins because they don't march very fast.
Right.
It's their numbers, really.
Right.
It's not their
It's like
speed.
zombies.
It's their numbers.
It's like slow
Yeah.
zombies.
Then he was yelling, "Red light, green light," and then the whole thing just blew up. Amazing.
I didn't
Right.
realize that was a Joe Kosinski movie. That's an Iowa boy.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
He's from
Oh, great.
Marshalltown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, no, it's really a nice.
It's definitely
it's really
watchable.
well done.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Very interesting.
Thanks, Gabe.
Yeah.
right.
Loves the maid rights.
All right. Thanks, Gabe. You didn't recommend something on Netflix or on YouTube.
Don't you diss
My
Netflix.
movie
It might
just
happen,
happens to be
though.
on YouTube, you asshole. I was
Yes.
trying to help the viewers out. God, be a dick once, Jesus.
Don't ever compare you to Netflix ever again. They're not the
At
same.
least it wasn't a book. That's all I'm saying.
Got a book for
Yeah, who reads?
Let's move on to.
I'm going back to book.
The president doesn't read, so I don't read.
High
You guys
five,
want-
Gabe.
I'm starting Book Smack next week. It's just me talking about books.
All
Book
right.
smack.
Book smack. He has 3 conversations about books with himself. Let's move on to.
I do
No, round
smack,
one.
I do smack, and then I talk about books.
There you go.
Round one, Tom. Fonts.
I really like this one. It's really good.
It's
Am I
14
recording?
hours long. You're gonna love it.
One episode is just Tom taking apart a toaster and putting it back together. Just off his head.
One of his books is the Toaster Manual.
So this is a Sunwell. This is a 2017 model. Beautiful white finish.
I would download that podcast.
Yeah, I probably
For
listen to
sure.
that.
This is like
Come on,
15
guys.
minutes.
Come on. Spoiler alerts. Come on. You're gonna ruin my first 4 shows.
All right, let's move on to find out who won. I'll poke the monkey.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Your winner by decision is
We've had too many blowouts this
Wait,
season.
14-2 is 2 Kevin Peter Halls standing on top of each other.
Wow.
Seriously,
I
he
can
needs to-
do math.
He can go to bed.
I do need to go to bed.
So do I. I gotta get
That's
up at
still
5.
amazing. That
Wait, he's
appreciation.
7-1, right? This joke
No,
checks
he's
out.
actually 7-2.
It checks out mathematically.
He's 7-2.
He's 7-2.
Yeah, the guy who
Fuck.
played the alien 7-1.
He's 2
That's-
of those guys on top of each other.
There you go. All right.
I've always said my strong point is math humor.
We've always noticed that.
Gabe.
Yeah.
Gabe,
Yes.
where can
What?
people hunt you down and maybe put a baby in your chest?
Oh. Yeah, I guess
That
you
sounded
can-
dirtier than it was meant, but yeah, I'll
Yeah.
take it.
You can stalk me on Facebook if you want to. I don't go there very much anymore, but I'm there. You can find me on Facebook, or you can check out onegenomeshort.com and check out some of our films.
All right. Thanks, Gabe. Kyle.
After tonight, I've made myself seem like a real hateful asshole, so I don't know why you'd want to hang out with me. But if you do, you can find me on Facebook. I'm not as bad as I sound. These guys are just jerks.
Thanks, Kyle. And we are jerks. Tom.
It's true.
Vimeo, Facebook, Twitter, more or less, but mostly people can find me running through the jungle, fighting and impregnating illegal aliens.
I almost did a spit take. Thank you for that.
Did I say Mexican jungle?
No.
Oh, it's funnier as if I say Mexican jungle. People can generally find me running through the Mexican
Easy.
jungle.
Easy.
Illegally. All right.
See, it's a double play on words using illegal aliens, and we're talking about aliens.
We know.
And your
And
job
Predator was shot in Mexico. See how what I did?
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
it's
that was-
funny.
It's still terrible.
Let me give you
It's
a
great.
hint
It's
from
fantastic.
You
one of the
said you had my
matches.
back, Tosh.
We got a long
Until
break
then.
until right now. Until right now.
We must end the show now. Please.
I'm not sure how geography jokes are going to go over. My math jokes are bombing.
I guess it's on to civics.
All right, Tosh.
You can find me on Twitter. Just search for Tosh Dillinger. There's only one of me, so.
All right.
That is true.
Thank
That
God.
definitely,
can be only
definitely
one.
is true.
Or you can go to our website, Ones You Know I'm Short, which Gabe already pimped one time, so I'll pimp it again and check out our films. There, how's that sound? That good? Yeah.
Well done.
Good.
I wish I had a website to pimp.
Yeah. Well, you can put some stuff
Ooh.
together. Let me know.
We would
Talk to me.
That joke
Talk
is
to me.
funnier.
We would appreciate it if you could leave us a review on iTunes or whatever podcasting service you use. You can contact us at cinesmack@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Just search Cinesmack. For July, I've already used this joke once before. We Get Animated as Megamind takes on Despicable Me. For Kyle, Tom, Gabe, Tosh, and myself, thanks for listening, and go catch a flick.
You're bleeding, man.
I ain't got time to bleed.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
This is where someone does a Schwarzenegger impersonation.
Yeah, I know. I'm waiting. Who's doing this Schwarzenegger?
Gosh.
Get out! Leave the podcast. It's over.
Leave the podcast now.
Thank God you did that. I was going to pull out my Ian Holm.
Oh God.
No, wait, no,
That's
don't
the
do
nickname
that.
for my penis.
Wow.
The last time you pulled out Ian Holm, we went to jail, Tom.
And stop calling your penis Ian Holm.
This has been a test of the Southsider Studios podcast system. This was only a test. If this were a true lack of entertainment, your head would explode. Go to iTunes and subscribe to our feed. Just search Southsider Studios.